Good evening. Welcome to the December 16th regular City Council meeting. And D. Stiles Elliott, will you please call roll?
Mayor Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Delira.
Here.
Councilmember Fajarin.
Here.
Councilmember McDonald.
Here.
Councilmember Guido.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Weller.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
So welcome everyone, and welcome Brian, one of our new City Council members that have been elected. You're the first one to take office because you're filling an appointment. The other two will take office January 1st. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
So for community announcements, the first one is related to a United Way partnership. We're pleased to share that the United Way of Whitman County is partnered with Pullman Parks and Rec to continue providing congregate senior meals at the Pullman Senior Center. The United Way of Whitman County raised over $7,500 on Giving Tuesday, which was matched by Vision and Valley's Cornerstone Wealth Strategies, resulting in a total of $15,000 to allocated to senior meals in Pullman. These funds will be used to continue providing meals for seniors at the Pullman Senior Center on Tuesdays and Fridays for the next 3 months while we work diligently with local service providers and partners to find an organization to help us continue this program. We're truly grateful to United Way of Whitman County for providing the financial resources to allow us to continue providing this important service for Pullman seniors. And I really appreciate all the people that have come together around this issue and have been working on it. And we have more meetings tomorrow related to the future and what happens after 3 months. And we're expecting good outcomes, and it's just unfortunate that this is the time of the year that this happened. And so I really appreciate how everyone came together in the community on this. Next up is looking at holiday closures. Pullman City Hall, Pullman Recreation Center, Neal Public Library, and other City of Pullman administrative offices will be closed on Thursday, December 25th for Christmas and Thursday, January 1st for New Year's Day. Neal Public Library will also be closed on December 24th, and the Pullman Rec Center will close at 3 p.m. on December 24th. And of course, emergency services will remain available during these times, and thank you very much. As for periodic update, the city needs your help with the periodic update to Pullman's comprehensive plan, and you can visit pullman-wa.gov/periodic_update for more information. Welcome back. Our audio's back up again. So continuing on with community announcements. For our announcements, winter registration for Pullman Parks Recreation winter and springs activities start tomorrow at 8 a.m. And you can go to pullman-wa.gov/rec for a digital version, or you can pick up at City Hall the guide. Continuing on, youth of all ages are invited to Neal Public Library on Monday and Tuesday at 11 a.m. for the Winter Break Craft Series. Next week we'll be making calming creatures, and the next week will be pies and placemats and a snowflake workshop. Then starting on Sunday with the official start of winter, adults can take part in the Winter Quest Activity Challenge in Neal Public Library. Runs from December 21st through March 30th. They'll have activities fitting a range of categories like reading and watching and making. There'll be prizes available at the library all the way along. Visit pullman-wa.gov/winter challenge to sign up. To see more listings of other community events, visit the city's tourism page at visit-pullman.com/events. The next item on our agenda is non-agenda related community comments. This agenda item is the first of two opportunities during this meeting for the public to bring comments to the attention of elected officials. Specifically, this item is reserved for public comment, concerns, or other information not related to previous public hearings or final agenda items. This comment should not the agenda item for comments will not exceed 30 minutes in total. Comments are directed to the mayor or the city council as your body. You'll have 2 minutes for comments. If anyone would like to provide comments, could you please come forward? You can go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. I'm Mackenzie Brummett. I'm coming to you today from behalf of the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. Some fun news to share. In 2018, the Pullman Chamber Board launched the Pullman Young Professionals Committee with a goal to support growth of young professionals in Pullman. While this was an initiative of the Chamber, the PYP team had their own leadership and planned their own events, secured speakers, managed their web and social media, and everything in between. Over the years, we found attendance began to dwindle, and several of us, including the PYP chair, who recently had a career change, recognized that this was the perfect time for a refresh. I'm pleased to share that we had 2 people come forward willing to take on this effort. They planned their first event last Tuesday at South Fork Public House, and I shared with them that I thought that getting 15 people there would be a success, and I could not be happier to let you know that they had 50 people show up. All of the attendees were representing 17 area businesses. I had the chance to stop by, and it was energizing to see so many young, wonderful people engaged and taking advantage of the opportunity to get to know one another. One attendee shared that she didn't realize that there were so many people her age in Pullman. And as people were leaving, they were already asking about when is the next event. So it's really clear that there's a desire and want for something like this. So I want to give a special thanks to Bonnie Pitzer and James Pitzer, the cousins. They're the ones who have taken this on. We spent time Saturday looking ahead to the 2026 calendar, and they've got some great plans in the works. So I'd like to encourage any employers who may have people interested in building connections to follow the Pullman Young Professionals on their social media. They can also reach out to join the mailing list or email pullmanyoungprofessionals@gmail.com for questions.
Would anyone else like to provide community comments?
Good evening, Council. My name is Bobby Ryder with the Downtown Pullman Association. I just want to give a little update. In January, we have a jigsaw puzzle competition coming up. When many of us are decompressing from the holidays, the Downtown Pullman Association and City Parks and Rec Department will be collaborating to provide a jigsaw puzzle competition on Saturday, January 24th. So it's time to start pulling together a team of 2 to 3, maybe even 4 people, or be ready to register as an individual. More information will be coming after January, at the beginning of the year, January 1. We are starting early this year with our lights for next year, and I'm appealing to the council so that we can begin a program called Buy a Snowflake. The holiday lights on Main and Main Street are heartwarming, and as we celebrate the year of rebuilding, these have shed a lot of positivity. These lights were donated to the city but from the DPA and installed by city park staff. In December 2026, DPA would like to add holiday snowflakes to the lighted poles and along Main Street, and similar holiday lighting along Grand and Paradise where opportunities can be found. DPA is asking the council to accept a proposal for up to $10,000 in holiday lights to add snowflakes on Main Street poles and holiday lights along Grand Avenue and Paradise Street. Snowflakes and lights will be hung by the designated city staff, and our goal is to fundraise for holiday lights and to invite anyone to purchase a snowflake for the holidays in December 2026. I also want to add that thank you to all of those who, we are very grateful to those who contributed to the business and occupation tax. That is closed, but will be reopening the second week in January. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to provide community comment? Next up is city council member comments, and I'll start with Councilmember Fajarin.
Thank you. I just have a few comments. One is just notifying everybody or remind folks know that we have quite a storm that's coming up within the last 24 hours. Avista is letting folks know that they are expecting power outages. During a power outage, just make sure that turn all appliances off that were on before the power went out, unplug electronic equipment, and leave a light or radio on as alert when power has been restored. So I just hope everybody stays safe out there. I think winds are going to be continuing on through Wednesday morning. Second one, I just want to thank all the community members and partners, United Way of Whitman County, Parks and Rec, for really taking charge in helping establish or making sure that our senior meal sites and program remains intact. And so thank you so much. My last comment has to deal with the discussion item of STR rentals. I do plan on tabling that until next year, but I will make the motion before the discussion item. Thank you.
Councilmember Parks?
No comment.
Councilmember Wright?
In the spirit of the season, I would just like to wish everyone the happiest and safest of holidays, and looking forward to working with everyone in 2026. Should be a good year. Thank you all.
Councilmember Guido?
No comment.
Councilmember Weller?
I want to say that it's been an honor to serve with many of you that will be leaving, and glad to see Brian on as well. Intelligent guy, and I'm looking forward to our years together as well. I think it's also important to mention that we had a huge showing for the Wreaths Across America event. Councilmember Wright was there, and it was really great to see that. I know it went out on the radio, and it was such an important event, and I hope even more wreaths are donated next year. I think there were 200. And we have, what, over 1,000?
600 veterans.
600, thank you, 600 veterans that are in that particular cemetery. So that's all from me, and happy holidays.
Yeah. Councilmember DeLira?
No comment.
Councilmember McDonald?
Okay, so I'm glad to be here, honored to be here, excited to be serving with many of you. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm new to this, and I'll do my best, but hopefully give me a little bit of grace. I did run my campaign on figuring out what we can do and making sure that we're thinking about putting on the hats of the people that live and work and run businesses here. And so you probably see a theme of that over the years, but the thing that I absolutely love about Pullman is that everybody cares deeply about the community and about each other, and I'm just excited to be part of it, and thanks for having me.
Great. Next item is, are there any agenda items that the City Council would like to request to place on a future agenda? Councilmember Fajarin?
I did forget that I was going to say this, but this has to relate to the discussion item about vacant downtown commercial spaces. I would like to request that the draft ordinance be a future agenda item for the council to work over.
So it's a discussion item today. So
Okay, well, I'll make
So
that.
during that discussion would be then the council would determine what direction they want to do bringing things back.
Sounds good. I'll go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Next item is community comments on final action items. So this agenda item is the second of two opportunities during this meeting for the public to bring comments to the attention of the elected officials on any agenda item that the city council will take final action item at the meeting, excluding items where public comment was previously accepted. Would anybody like to provide public comment on any final action items? Seeing none, move on to presentations. The first one, Councilmember Guido with the Housing Work Group, that you have a recommendation that you'd like to bring forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members, the audience. I'm presenting tonight in expedient fashion because I know that we have a full agenda. Essentially, the Pullman Pro Housing Work Group has presented a report and submitted it to the council for consideration in their goal setting for next year. The work that's been going on for about 3 years through participation by volunteers in the community who care or are working in the housing space. And I'm just going to hit the highlights as well as the Pullman Pro Housing Work Group goal that they are recommending to develop 30 new housing units per year for the next 10 years in Pullman, intended for owner occupancy. Housing units are focused on the missing middle, which is affordable housing under $400,000, which includes new construction starter homes, remodeled older houses, tiny houses, townhomes, accessory dwelling units, manufactured homes, mixed-use district, and residential infill and cooperative housing. So it covers a wide spectrum in terms of missing middle affordable housing that we have an opportunity to develop. How we came up with that is in your report. Essentially, it's based on current permanent residency, a predicted growth rate, along with average over the past 3 years, 15 to 20 permits that have been pulled for new single-family housing at the city level. So that report contains how we came up with that goal. We are recommending that the council really focus on workforce housing, which falls within 80 to 120% average median income. And for context, in fiscal year 2026 in Whitman County, a household of 3 at the 120 average median income is about $96,000 household income. And the way it stands right now, that household making $96,000 may be able to afford a $380,000 house for a fee simple purchase. And this assumes a 3% down and includes private mortgage insurance and a 6.26% interest rate. We understand that interest rates vary tremendously and are going to impact these recommendations, but we're really asking the council to focus in on workforce housing, which is sorely lacking in Pullman. And the strategies to achieve that goal is obviously we have to find funding, and the city of Pullman must lead the effort to fill the gap between the affordability limit of $400,000, which is what we have specified as our affordability. We're recommending that we share the effort to find funding between the city's Community Development Department, Economic Development Director, and Grants Manager, and work with known local agencies like Housing Trusts and Habitat for Humanity, and to partner on grant funding opportunities throughout the state of Washington. We also need to look for Community Reinvestment Act funding from banks in Washington state. Those are some ideas as it relates to funding. We also need to find land. Available and buildable land in Pullman is scarce and expensive. One strategy for finding land is to look at the existing housing stock and land in Pullman, develop a campaign to encourage Pullman land and homeowners to donate their assets to Hills and Rivers Housing Trust, for example, or Palouse Habitat for Humanity, for example. This could appeal to aging homeowners who want to downsize or have no family members to inherit their assets. We also need to develop education and outreach. So we're recommending developing a housing and a homeownership resource page to be published as part of the City of Pullman's website. And we need to link to an invaluable resource that we have here that is not known, but is called the Washington Homeownership Resource Center here in Pullman, and provides tremendous resources to people who are looking to become homeowners. The fourth strategy is to develop a coordinated, centralized coalition to address housing, and that could include homeownership, rental, and homelessness issues. This recommendation aligns with the recommendation made in the Whitman County 5-year Homeless Housing Plan as procured by the Whitman County Commissioners. There are a number of disparate groups and entities throughout Pullman who have very good intentions and are working on different pieces as it relates to housing, but it is not coordinated. And we would be much more effective if we had something like a coordinated coalition. And finally, we need to develop innovative partnerships with employers to designate land for affordable workforce housing, such as Washington State University, Pullman School District, Schweitzer Engineering, Port of Whitman County. The council should work to engage employers in the community and recognize that those employers seek to recruit and retain employees in the workforce AMI range, which is 80 to 120%. So those are in a very quick nutshell. And we really encourage the council to consider this during goal setting. We try to make it as short, and it's only 4 or 5 pages. Hope that you will take it into consideration. It is the culmination of a lot of hard work and volunteers who care very much about this issue for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for presenting. This is something that will go to the council as a part of the goal-setting packet. I also appreciate the other council members that were part of this work group also for this work, and this will be a deeper dive later on as we look into it. So thank you very much. So, Councilmember Weller.
I just want to say, Megan, I appreciate what you laid out there. I'll be interested in looking at it in goal setting, and I just want to make sure that you understand that your time on Softon, you question whether you've done anything, and I will say you have made a huge impact on the community, not only through your housing work, but through Whitman Recovery Community Center and many other avenues. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan.
And in the spirit of that, our next item is actually recognizing our outgoing council members. We have 2 council members, and in alphabetical order, since I can't say which one's been more, I don't want, nor do I want to pick one. So Councilmember DeLira from 24 through 25, and then Councilmember Guido from 22 to 25. And with that, I'd like to let each have their outgoing comments, even though we're not at the end of the meeting, but any thoughts that you have in your outgoing as I give you your plaques.
Yeah, so I do have some words prepared because I knew this would be a very overwhelming day for me. So serving on this council has really meant a lot to me. Thank you to everyone in Pullman who showed up, spoke up, and reached out to me. And thank you, Mayor Benjamin, to my fellow council members, city staff, for all your hard work and passion that you bring to the city and really helping me out a lot during my term. It's been a great experience and honor to work alongside you all. To the new council members, thank you for stepping up. I'm excited to see the perspectives that you will bring to council, and I look forward to eventually reaching out to you as a constituent. I also have some unconventional advice besides the importance of doing your homework, asking questions, and engaging with the community based off of my experience. So here it goes. So one, pace yourself and take care of yourself. Showing up for others relies on you taking care of yourself too. Second, keep your why close. When you experience difficulties in this position, it's always good to remember why you decided to run. 3, do not be afraid of letting people see you try something new or different. It's an opportunity for both you and the community to learn about local government, so don't be shy. And finally, inspire others to run for public office, like city council. I think the strength of local government grows when more people believe that they can take a part in it. And you are uniquely positioned to change someone's mindset by encouraging them to take up the torch. And to wrap this up, I want to finish by saying and reiterating that I'll still be out in the community as an engaged community member in Pullman. Being on city council is one very unique and impactful way to serve your community, but there are so many other ways to serve Pullman. And so I'm looking forward to see how that shapes next year. And thank you so much for everything.
Councilmember Guido.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve on Pullman City Council. I appreciate the trust that was given to me by the folks who voted for me. It's been an honor and duty to serve the community that has helped shape my life. I also thank my fellow council members and the outstanding staff we have at the city for their expertise and support. I've said before, and I'll say again, I believe it's important for citizens to run for office, to step up to serve in local government, to play a role in democracy. It is the lifeblood of our country, and we are choking up. I believe that we're at a critical point in our country's history when we need to do everything to preserve it. Serving in local office provides invaluable experience in understanding how a city is managed and operated, such as unglamorous but critical investments in infrastructure and the role of people's voices in decision-making. It's also a glimpse into the messiness of democracy and the political world that we live in today. What it's like navigating between what we may want to do and what the law allows. I just want to say something about city staff, that they work very hard. They are public servants. They're not the enemies. Looking back over the last 4 years, I'm proud of the work the city and the council did to move Pullman forward, including bringing sewer and water lines up to date in the downtown, beautifying the downtown, and working on important issues that make Pullman a place people want to live, such as affordable housing and transportation. The new council will have work to do on areas such as vacant buildings and our aging streets, particularly Grand Avenue. I hope you do your research, consult with experts, and with your constituents. Strive for transparency. Finally, I wish the best for my successors, Tawny in Ward 3, and Brian and Trevor, thank you, and the other new council members as they embark on their journeys. Thank you very much.
We say for both of our council members, thank you. Right. Next item on the agenda is confirmation of appointments. I've provided you with a number of reappointments in addition to some new appointments that are before you that I'm recommending for specific committees and commissions. and I'd entertain a motion at this time for confirmation of appointments.
So moved.
Sean, do we need to read them, or is just the agenda item is sufficient for the confirmation?
Why don't you go ahead and read the person and where they're going, which committee?
So it's all together. So if you
But it
could
would
read
all
them.
be one motion, yes.
Yes, so if you could read them.
No problem. The motion is to confirm the following appointments and reappointments. To the Cemetery Committee, John Chaplin, for a term expiring December 31, 2028. Glenn Johnson, term expiring December 31, 2028. Bob Warnock, term expiring December 31, 2028. To the Civil Service Commission, Milford Hodge, with a term expiring December 31, 2031. Lodging Tax Advisory Commission, Rachel Simons, with a term expiring December 31, 2028. To the Pullman Arts Commission, David Schneider, with a term expiring December 31, 2028. To the Parks and Recreation Commission, Mick Nazarali, with a term expiring December 31, 2028, and Zachary Frederickson, term expiring December 31, 2028.
With that, any discussion? Councilmember Parks?
I just want to thank all these folks for agreeing to continue their work and to joining these entities. This is really important work, and it may not seem glamorous or, anything like that, but this is where a lot of our important city work gets accomplished through these committees and commissions. And so, as always, we always welcome more of our residents to partake in any of our committees or commissions if the subject matter is of interest to them. This is one of the big lifebloods of our city government. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with that. And then next up, I have where I'm recommending to council appointment for Frank S. Mulcahy as the new Public Works Director with the start date of January 12th, 2026. You have his bio that's in. He's someone that, if you look, has a very broad experience. We're very excited about him coming in and joining us. And with that, I'd entertain a motion for his approval of his appointment.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Councilmember Fajardo?
So I just wanted to squeeze in a compliment there because I was on the interview team. I was very impressed by Frank, especially his focus on business when large public works projects are happening, and focusing on communication is two-way, and to make sure that everything that's going on, that the businesses know what's going on. So also, he went out and talked to chamber and businesses. I think folks were given like a story problem or a problem to solve, and he took the initiative and went out and talked to the chamber of businesses. So in my opinion, Frank, you're the right guy. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. And with that, Frank, would you like to come up and say a couple words? We're excited to have you on board.
Mayor Benjamin, Council, thanks for the confidence that you're placing in me with this appointment. I realize this is a very important position for your city, and I'm honored to serve as the next Public Works Director. I do want to greatly appreciate the staff's professionalism throughout the interview process. It was a very great process from the standpoint I got to meet a lot of people, answer a lot of questions, but it was a very thorough interview process, and then the follow-on hiring was extremely professional. So I just want to thank Sean and Deb from HR for the great commitment to excellence that they've shown with the hiring. Finally, I just look forward in the new year working with Sean, teaming with my city colleagues, engaging the community, and more importantly, leading a great, talented public works team to make Pullman a great place to live, to work, and to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next item up is the consent agenda. The items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion of the City Council without separate discussion. I'd entertain a motion to read the consent agenda by title only.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sean, if you could read the consent agenda, please.
Absolutely. Bear with me, first time doing this part. Item 1, a motion to dispense with reading of the regular meeting minutes of November 18, 2025, and approve them as submitted. Number 2, a motion to approve disbursements for electronic transfers numbered 520 through 565, totaling $6,427,267.74. A motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 2011-32613 through 2011-32901, totaling $2,606,499.92. A motion to approve an administrative services contract with the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport for 2026. A motion to accept the M&O expansion grading 2022 contract as complete. A motion to ratify change order number 1 to contract PR 24-03, construction of pickleball courts at the Pullman City Playfields. Motion to accept the bid from Coleman Oil LLC to furnish the City of Pullman fuel for the year 2026. A motion authorizing the purchase of Exagrid backup storage solutions with CompuNet under state contract pricing. Item 9, resolution number R4925, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the finance director and the administrative services director to execute a local agency agreement, supplement number 1, and an updated project prospectus for the Arterial Streets Resurfacing 2026 project. 10, resolution number R5025, a resolution declaring certain property of the City of Pullman to be excess and surplus property and authorizing the means of disposal. And rounding it out, number 11, resolution number R5125, a resolution declaring certain accounts receivable due to the City of Pullman to be bad debts and removing said accounts from the active accounting records of the city.
Thank you very much. Do any council members desire to have any items removed from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second. With that, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Next up for regular agenda, our first one, ordinance 2525, and Clayton Forsman, our Deputy Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Pullman City Code Section 215-070 requires the city to collect a damage deposit for every building permit issued if the scope of work requires earthwork. Essentially, this means that a damage deposit is collected for any new building constructed in Pullman. This code was created in 1986, and the purpose of the damage deposit is to hold the builder accountable for both keeping the public right-of-way clear of debris and for any damages that could occur during construction of that home or building. So for example, if a builder breaks a curb and gutter or sidewalk during construction, then they must repair that. So once a project is complete, that damage deposit is returned to the builder in full, so long as the right-of-way has been returned to the pre-construction condition. However, if the builder does not repair the right-of-way, then the city can use that deposit to repair the right-of-way and return any remaining funds to the builder after the repairs have been completed. Since 1986, that damage deposit that we collect has amounted to 50% of the building permit fee. So what that means is if you look at like a single-family home, and just kind of an average single-family home, not the high end, not the low end, kind of average it across the board, that might be about $1,100 as far as a damage deposit that we collect. So recently, Public Works staff have encountered some scenarios where that damage deposit amount was not sufficient to cover repairs that were needed to the right-of-way. And what we've seen is some of these builders have refused to make those repairs to the right-of-way because the cost of those repairs are more than what the damage deposit amount is. So this pushes the need and the burden to the city to make the repairs. It adds an administrative burden to staff to collect monies after we make the repairs to collect anything above what we spent above the damage deposit. So in order to help alleviate this problem, staff have prepared the ordinance that is presented tonight to you for consideration. And if approved, the ordinance would essentially double the damage deposit amount. So instead of 50% of the building permit fee, it'd be 100%. So again, using that hypothetical average $1,100 damage deposit amount, it'd be now $2,200. So we feel that by collecting a larger deposit, this will provide a larger incentive for builders to protect the right-of-way during construction and, if needed, make any repairs. The ordinance also provides a few other minor edits to this code section that we're in need of updating and clarifying as well. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have on this item.
So any question of Clayton? And with that, Councilmember Weller.
So, Clayton, let me ask, if it's doubled, is that still going to be a case where it's more expensive to fix it?
It's hard to say, you know, it depends on the extent of the damage, right? So what our hope is that it's enough, it's an incremental step to see if it solves the problem that we're seeing. It's kind of a recent trend that we've seen in the last year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, I appreciate that because I know there's been some comments about it's already difficult enough for businesses to do development and so on and so forth. But if they're not acting in good faith and they're causing damage, then, I mean, I feel that this is logical. So thank you.
Councilmember Parks.
Thank you, and thank you for that explanation. It was very helpful. My question is sort of related to that. In the damages that the city ended up being responsible for, did you find that the costs were in fact double what we had collected as the damage deposit? I mean, I'm just wondering how the 100% amount or, you know, ratio was chosen.
Sure, yeah, we're simply taking the approach of doubling it to see if that helps.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember McDonald.
Does this apply to all, like, say, like, commercial buildings? Would it be the same? And would, like, compared to the $1,100, what would, like, I don't know, a building, maybe it doesn't apply to university buildings, but like a large university building or like a building at Schweitzer or whatever, what would those numbers look like?
Sure, great question. Yeah, so this would apply to really any new building, whether, I gave the example of single family, that's where we've seen most of the problems. But yes, we collect a damage deposit for commercial buildings, multifamily buildings, industrial buildings. And it's gonna depend, right? Because the building permit fee is higher for a larger building. So it's gonna incrementally increase. I didn't run any hypotheticals on what kind, it'd be hard to average that, but you could imagine it would increase for sure. And again, this is a refundable deposit. So it does get returned. It's a deposit, not a fee.
But it's cash up front, right? That makes it, that goes to Nathan's concern about the cost of doing business.
Yep.
Any other questions of Clayton? If you have another one, come.
How many cases have you guys been burned by this in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, we have about half a dozen right now that we're actively trying to get compliance with.
If you had to guess, out of how many total permits?
So if I looked, actually, Brian, you had asked the question earlier in the week. So I think I did a query on just single-family homes in that time frame, and going off memory, it was maybe 36, so maybe 6 out of 36.
And if you had to guess, but that's not the only ones that would be paying for it, right? It's like, so if you counted all of the types that would end up with double the damage deposit? If you had to ballpark that, what would you guess?
So the question is how many
How
building
many
permits?
how many building permits would we have to have double the damage deposit on total, regardless of whether it's commercial or single family?
Those half a
home?
dozen in the last year and a half, 2 years is what we've had problems with.
Out of, no, 36
I don't have the
single-family
total,
homes.
Brian, I don't have the total number of permits issued right now. I could get back to you with that, though.
Any other questions of Clayton? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 2525.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. With that, Sean, if you could read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 25-25, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Pullman, Whitman County, Washington, related to building permit damage deposits in building code, amending Pullman City Code Section 2.15.070 of the Pullman City Code, and Pullman Ordinances number 86-12, Section 7, 1986, 89-14, Section 6, 1989, 97-16, Section 2, 1997, 05-2, Section 10, 2005, 10-8, Section 8, 2010, and other matters properly related thereto.
With that, any discussion? Councilmember McDonald?
I'm worried about the idea of doubling the amount, well, the damage deposit cash up front for something without understanding more about the actual total number that we'd be asking for people. I'd also be interested in hearing, like, how do we compare to Colfax or Whitman County or Moscow or Latah County before we, well, I really want to understand what we're asking those builders compared to other places, since we're trying to welcome them here.
Okay. Other discussion? Councilmember DeLera?
I think, as Clayton said, it's an incremental step to figure out what's the best, I guess, way to, what's the best amount for the deposit. So there's always room to come back and readjust the ordinance.
Councilmember Parks?
I have another question. If you are pursuing a builder and they don't pay, can you file a claim against their professional insurance? Like for defaulting on a contract or breach?
Sure, the way the code reads is if they kind of refuse, in essence, to do that, then we would basically use that deposit. We would do the work, which is another project to administer, and then we would track our costs, and then we would try to seek reimbursement from them. How successful that is, it could depend on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the way the code's crafted for that scenario.
And have you spoken to any builders you work regularly with about this and gotten any feedback from?
Primarily, we've just been speaking with the ones we're having issues with, to be honest.
I mean, just about this idea, like.
No, I have
no?
not.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
It doesn't seem to me for a builder, I know that, I guess we'll find out, but it doesn't seem like it would be what am I trying to say? In the scheme of things, a big expense for them, and they will get it back if they do what they're supposed to do. But I do understand your point about having them, making it look unwelcoming in a way. I do understand that.
Anyone, so first of all, anyone who hasn't spoken, I want to give them the first opportunity, since before we go back through those that haven't. Councilmember Weller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And then,
I'm in agreement that we want to try and make things easier for business, and it's an upfront cost. But I also believe in civic responsibility and believe in good faith when it comes to improving our community and building in our community. So, in my opinion, and I'm not the expert, but I would say this is a logical next step, and see where things go. And it's a good way to try and keep things responsible, but doesn't mean it'll happen. So, yeah.
Councilmember McDonald?
So I think, I don't know, but I think that when we're talking about the upfront costs for commercial buildings, I think we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars difference. So, I mean, we are asking for a significant number. We've had a couple of cases where buildings have gone to outside of Pullman because of incremental costs. So I just want to make sure that we really understand what we're asking for before we decide to actually implement it and how that compares to our neighbors.
Yeah, well, this is coming before us because staff we're finding a number of bad actors that is costing the city more, is taking more of our time, and the builders aren't being responsible. It's not that it's a long-term cost. For those that are, it gets refunded back if you do what you're supposed to do. Unfortunately, we're in that situation where we have these bad actors right now. So, did you have any other comments?
No, just, 6 of them, right? Out of roughly 6 of them. I just don't want to over-optimize for the small number of bad actors. Or whatever. I don't want to call them bad actors, but the regrettable situations.
So let me, Clayton, you had given a half a dozen as your count. I believe in the email you were saying in the last 2 years. So was that in reference to the of the single families, or was that also inclusive of the commercial buildings too? The 6.
So the 6 that we're currently having some issues with are all single-family homes.
So that right there is 1/3 of the buildings we're having problems with 1/3 of them.
But not 1/3 of what we'd be asking to put this extra burden on. I just wonder if there's a way that we could do it based on risk or kind of narrow in on this so that we're tackling, I totally get the risk. I just, I would hate for everybody because of 6 single-family homes, every commercial builder, every apartment builder, every duplex builder, everybody, because of 6 single-family homes that had an issue. I would hate to tell everyone they need twice as much cash up front.
Councilmember Fajarin?
Just hearing the discussion, and I know we're in the discussion, but I am going to propose, are we able to limit this recommendation to residential, since commercial and other forms of businesses are a concern? Is that an option for us?
And Sean, if I could look to you on that one.
Not a problem. So you have a motion on the table right now that has a second.
There's a motion on the table, and they're asking
so
whether
the
they
vote
could
would
modify the motion or not.
We would have to vote on that motion, or you could deny that and give alternate direction to staff.
So just to continue the conversation going, we're in a weird spot right now, but that is something I'm going to propose. If the worry is about the commercial side of things, I will propose that we vote this down and make this ordinance just about the residential building permits.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Weller?
I think if we're leaving out commercial, that also provides, say we have a huge construction project and something gets damaged and they're like, you know what, it's not worth our time, it's not worth our money, then that's going to fall on the city. So, and that will be a chunk of change, not just $1,000. I liken it very much well, maybe this is not professional. You're paying up front to rent an apartment. There's certain damage deposit that you have to put in. You leave, you clean it, you get that damage deposit back. Now, it's not the same, but I do feel you're going to get that money back if you are acting in good faith, if you are doing the right things. The city is not out, nor is the staff out to take that money. You damage the community, you damage the walkways, you pay the price, and you're choosing not to pay the price. That's bad faith. Doesn't matter if it's commercial, doesn't matter if it's housing. It shouldn't just be, we're targeting housing. And then you're going to get into the conversation, well, why is it just housing? Why is it not commercial? So, whole nother thing. Sit.
Any other discussion?
I'll call a question.
With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So we have one nay. Motion passes. On to next resolution R52-25. And with that, Clayton, you're still up.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This item talks about our current facility plan for the wastewater treatment plant. That plan identifies the need to upgrade our plant's dewatering equipment. Currently, dewatering is performed at the plant with a single belt filter press. That filter press is over 35 years old. It's past its useful life, and parts have become obsolete. Plant staff have had to do a lot of work on the equipment over the past few years to keep things working. When parts are needed, you're talking long lead, custom parts, sometimes 3 to 4 months. This has been challenging for staff, and it further supports the need to upgrade the equipment. In addition, the press is situated in the plant's equipment building. Due to the nature of the plant, this is a corrosive environment, and this has led to early signs of rust formation on the building trusses and on the ceiling pan. So in order to select a consultant for design services for this important project, staff solicited statement of qualifications from qualified firms. We received 6 proposals. We had a 5-person selection committee that ranked and evaluated those proposals. That concluded with selection of JUB Engineers as the most qualified consulting firm to do the design work for this project. A full scope of work has been negotiated to go along with the engineering services agreement that's included in your packet for consideration tonight. All work, if approved, would be performed on a cost reimbursable basis with a not to exceed amount of $604,000. Funded would come from the sewage treatment plant budget of the utility fund, and the goal is to have all the design work completed within 12 months. It is staff's recommendation that council adopt the resolution approving an engineering services agreement with JUB Engineers for the wastewater treatment plant dewatering improvements project. And I would be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for the resolution.
Move to adopt Resolution R-52-25.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. With that, Sean, if you could read the resolution, please.
Resolution number R-52-25, a resolution authorizing the execution of an engineering services agreement between the City of Pullman and JUB Engineers, Incorporated, to design the wastewater treatment plant dewatering improvements project.
That any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. On to resolution 5325. With that, Clayton, you're back up.
Thanks again, Mayor. So this item involves City Code Chapters 1120, 040, and 045. This code requires anyone performing work in the public right-of-way to first obtain a permit from the city. We commonly refer to these as right-of-way disturbance permits. And this is separate and different from the right-of-way use permits that we've been talking about this year for sidewalk cafes. So just to make sure that's clear to everyone, this is totally separate. This code has provisions in it to set fees and deposits by resolution. The current fee and deposit schedule was set in 1981 and hasn't been updated since. That's linked in your council packet for reference. And so basically it's been such a long time and we need to kind of update these fees to better account for Staff's time to process, review, inspect, and administer these permits. So we've prepared an updated fee and deposit schedule for your consideration tonight. It's included as Exhibit A in your packet to the resolution. So just in summary, I'll kind of hit the highlights. If approved, a typical base permit fee collected for a right-of-way disturbance permit for a simple project would increase from $15 to $50. And so if you geek out on the numbers and you go back to 1981 to 2025, that's about a 2.75% annual increase straight through. So that seems reasonable. And again, it's based on our staff time to do the work. For a more involved project, the base fee would go from $45 to $130. That's about a 2.4% annual increase. So in addition, the proposed schedule before you tonight includes provisions to allow the city to collect additional fees for those more complex projects. And then also to collect a deposit for those to cover our time to inspect and administer those more complex projects. So what I'm talking about there is like a big Ziply project to come in and do a mass project through. That's a lot of coordination. And so this will help us administer that and inspect the work. You've seen the traffic notifications that come out. A lot of those are related to these right-of-way disturbance permits. So with that, I'm here to take any questions that you might have on this item.
Any questions of Clayton? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution number R53-25.
Second.
Second. With that, Sean, if you could read the resolution, please.
Resolution number R5325, a resolution adopting a fee schedule for the excavation of streets, chapter of the Streets and Sidewalks Code pursuant to the provisions of chapters 11.20.040 and 11.20.045 of the Pullman City Code.
With that, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you very much, Clayton.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clayton.
Next up is a motion authorizing a professional services agreement with the Pullman Chamber of Commerce for tourism promotion, marketing, and events coordination. With that, Jeff Albrecht.
Good evening, Council. Before you is a motion to approve a professional services agreement with the Pullman Chamber of Commerce for tourism. Last summer, the city put out an RFP with the anticipation of the current agreement they have that expires at the end of this year. They put out an RFP. On July 8th, Council selected, approved for award of that RFP to the Pullman Chamber of Commerce. Staff then worked with Chamber staff to come up with a professional service agreement that you see here before you tonight. So we'd be seeking approval of that.
With that, any questions? Of Jeff, first of all. So, Councilmember Fajarin.
Apologies, I was expecting a little bit more presentation. I did go through the proposal, and I know that in the proposal there is not specific language around specific KPIs, but just future KPIs will be agreed upon. Has there been any conversation between you and the chamber about what those are?
Yes, not specific. One of the things we talked about is really developing those in the first quarter of this next year. We tried to avoid specific KPIs in here, just knowing of a 3-year term, that those could really change over the course of the term of the contract. So instead of setting them out specifically in the contract and kind of hands-tying performance metrics, also with the changeover of staff that both the city and the chamber have had, we really thought it was a good chance to let some of those new people in their positions be involved in that discussion. So I think there's a couple places where it references identifying those and developing them within the first quarter of the contract, which would be the first quarter of 2026. So, but we were kind of deliberate about not getting too specific in the contract to kind of hamstring either side.
Thank you, that makes sense. I do have additional ones if we want.
Go ahead.
Apologies. Was there specifics on what the $424,000 for staff was going towards?
So that was part of their proposal. I believe most of that staff is to administer the tourism, to administer the events, those types of things.
And then I did see that there was quite a hefty, I think it was almost $100,000 designated for new special events. We're talking about the 250th birthday of USA next year, so I think that would be a grand event to consider for that new special event fund. So, thank you.
Councilmember McDonald?
Mine's more of a question, again, brand new to this.
You're fine.
I just wonder if I need to recuse myself for this one, and I'll probably ask the same on the next one, just because my wife's a board member at the chamber. I'm not quite sure how to handle that. Sorry, again, just new here.
Yes, I would say yes.
Me too.
I would be if I was in that. Okay. With that, I'd entertain a motion, because we don't have a motion yet.
So moved.
Second.
And second. It's a motion to authorize the professional service agreement with Pullman Chamber of Commerce for tourism promotion, marketing, and events coordination. Any discussion?
Just in full disclosure, I would excuse myself from the vote, being a member of the Board of Directors for the Pullman Chamber of Commerce, as well as the chair of the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission.
Just one more comment. I feel like this has happened before, that we've had a conflict of interest and we've had to have folks remove themselves from the vote. So I would just encourage us to do what we can to prevent that in the future.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Guido?
So I'm also on the LTAC?
The LTAC isn't a conflict.
Okay.
Because that's an appointment from, that's a city's appointment to that
Okay.
board. So that's,
Just
LTAC is
wanted
not
to-
it's, what it has to do with is the recipient of the contract happens to be a board member or the spouse of a board member of the organization that would be receiving that. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? I think we have two for that.
If one were to be legal, an abstention actually.
Abstention
is a
would
no
be
vote.
a no vote, so we don't do that.
recusals. That's how that would be, I think.
So we had, five yeses, two recuses. With that, thank you. And on to, and Jeff, you're up for the next few. So continue on with Resolution 5525.
Sure. Resolution 5525 is a resolution declaring certain property be surplus and for means of disposal. If you notice, there was a disposal one that was in the consent agenda. Our normal process for disposing of surplus property is to put it out for public auction. But there is allowances that if there is ways to dispose of property at reduced cost, that other allowances can be made for that. In the case of this is surplus property that is no longer needed by the city, as our contract for providing services at Pullman Aquatic Fitness Center ends on December 31st. So this is property that we don't have a need for. And as far as cost of disposal, it's about as low cost as can be. We just leave the items there when we're done. So these are items that the Schweitzer Aquatic Center has identified would be useful in continuing to provide services to the community. It allows us to transfer that, help their transition, makes it easier for us to dispose of the property, and still allows us to get fair market value for those items. So what this resolution basically does is allows for that disposal to be a direct sale to the Schweitzer Aquatic Center.
So any questions of Jeff? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Sean, if you could read the resolution, please.
Resolution number R-55-25, a resolution declaring certain property of the city of Pullman to be excess and surplus property and authorizing the means of disposal.
With that, any discussion? Councilmember Delera?
So since I am an employee of SEL, I will be recusing myself.
That does not, so this is city property. It has nothing to do with SEL's, your relationship to SEL. So SEL is purchasing from the school district property, but
Well, this case,
Or is this,
the Schweitzer Aquatic Center, which is part of SEL, would be purchasing the disposal items
Oh, I'm
directly from
sorry.
us. So it would actually be purchased directly from us.
okay. I was reading that one the other way, sorry. Any other, and
I'm going to do the same.
okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Jeff, you're up for the next one.
Thanks for bearing with me for a while. Next up is a motion to uncommit funds from the capital improvement project in the general fund reserve. This has been a discussion about our capital funds, and our overall financial cash balance has been discussion for a few previous council meetings. If you remember, a while back, we changed the formula because that fund was really increasing at a much higher rate, and it was detracting from our ability to spend those funds in operations. So basically, the current balance in that fund is about $5.1 million. We will be moving it to cover 2025 expenses, probably in the neighborhood of about $1.1 million. And then we're right now projected about $570,000 for 2026 general fund capital projects. So basically what it is by uncommitting the little over $3.5 million, it leaves enough to cover 2025 projects, enough to cover 2026 projects, but then frees up the rest of that money to support operations. And then as far as 2027 projects go, there'll obviously be deposits in there based off the new formula, probably somewhere, it's a little hard to predict, but probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000 or $1 million that would then be available for 2027 projects. So, but basically what this does is removes that commitment for that money to be only used for capital projects and to instead be used for operations, which is going to be necessary in 2026. So.
With that, any questions of Jeff? Councilmember Fajarin?
Thank you, Jeff. Huge amount of money. I know, just like you said, we've talked about this over the past couple months. I just want to know if you touched a little bit about this. So I just wanted to ask if you could put this into perspective for us on how this affects the next budget cycle.
Sure. Right now, it doesn't change our cash. We have the same amount of cash. As of last time I checked, our total cash in the general fund was about $3.8 million. We try to maintain a $4 million balance in there to have a reasonable reserve. $4 million balance, just so you know, is about 50 days cash on hand. So that means we could kind of operate for about 50 days. That's not necessarily industry standard, but that's kind of a common number. Basically, without this, all of our cash would be committed to CIP, and we would have no operating cash to cover any shortfall, which right now, next year, is a deficit budget. So we will need some cash to cover next year's 2026 operating budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
With that as a motion to uncommit funds from the Capital Improvement Project General Fund Reserve in the amount of $3,504,673. With that, any discussion? Councilmember McDonald?
I just want to emphasize the thing I'm worried about is, and we've talked about increased fees, increased cash up front. The way that we're going to have a budget shortfall, the way that we're going to get ahead of that is increased business, increased revenue. And so the more that we can think about that as we go into the next year, how do we increase that, so make this less uncomfortable next year than it's looking to be right now.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And Jeff, you're up for the next ordinance.
Sure. Ordinance 2526 is an ordinance accepting restricted money contribution from the American Legion in the amount of $500,150.32. We're now in about year 3, roughly, of trying to work toward the development of Veterans Memorial Park. And I won't steal Kurt's thunder. He's got some good news a little later in the agenda. But what this is the American Legion has done a lot of our fundraising, worked with a lot of community donors to help us raise money. And this is a donation that the cumulative of donations that they've received in the amount of $500,000. So basically be accepting that donation specifically for the construction of Veterans Memorial Park.
With that, Councilmember Weller for discussion, for any questions of Jeff, I'm sorry.
Well, sorry, this is just kind of a great job. This is awesome.
Oh.
So this is really, really cool. This is going to be a huge draw, I know, for the entire region. I've talked to a number of people who have come from outside the state to come to events for veterans here. And when I sit in the Red Cross board meetings, I've talked about this. This is going to happen. This is not something that's like maybe someday. This is really, really big stuff, and it's really important. So thank you to Maynard Price and of course to Kurt and everybody involved in this. This is great. That's it. Sorry, no questions.
Okay, any other questions of Jeff? If not, Councilmember Weller, would you like to make a motion on this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. With that, Sean, if you could read ordinance.
Ordinance number 25-26, an ordinance accepting a restricted monetary contribution from the American Legion Maynard Price Post 52 to the City of Pullman Metro Parks to be used for Veterans Park.
With that, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And Jeff, for the next ordinance.
Sure. I'll do one more, and then you'll be done with me for the night. So. Ordinance 2527 is ordinance amending the ordinance budget that was previously approved. So this is amending the 2025 and 2026 budget. Do a biennial budget. We do kind of produce it as two individual budgets, so we'll amend each of that. RCW says that basically you can amend your budget for unexpected expenses, unexpected things that happen, things that change, obviously, in the time. We are required by law to approve more expenses than we spend. We can bring in more revenue without amending the budget. The state's okay with that, but you have to approve expenses. I do have some revenue amendments on there, mostly just because a lot of times they relate to an expense amendment. So we had an additional revenue and we had an additional expense. So that's why you see the revenue amendments also in there. But what it is for 2025, it's a revenue, additional revenue of $3,980,000 and additional expenditures of $4,346,400. Just to kind of give you a few highlights of kind of what makes up some of those. Recreation programs really continue to grow. This is really the second year that they've had some pretty heavy growth. They do generate revenue from registrations, but then of course there's offsetting expenses. So you kind of see a $50,000 additional revenue as well as $50,000 of expenses. When we put together the budget, we were planning on ending our operations at the Aquatic Center as September 1 is when that contract expired. That was extended. So we do have some additional revenues of about $40,000 from intergovernment fees. We also do have some additional expenses primarily related to staffing of that facility. Next one is FAA grants. So we are the eligible grant entity for the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport. So when we receive FAA grants, they come into the city. It's actually received as revenue for the city. The city then turns around and basically passes it right through to the airport. So it's a net zero. We don't necessarily put that into the budget because it's really hard to project out. So basically this is, and it'll probably end up being a little less than this. I think to date, we're around 1.5 million or so. There's a few coming in still. But this allows us to receive up to 2.25 million as well as then pass that right back through to the airport. We do have grant revenues in the amount of $640,000 that came in early this year related to the downtown project, as well as we had about a 3% spillover into this year for downtown expenses. So downtown expenses also came in at about I think it's $525,000. And then we do have $1 million of donations for the Lawson Memory Garden that came in. And then a few unexpected expenses related to staffing, professional services, as well as some goods and services in various departments that you see there. And then for 2026, we are looking to do a revenue amendment of $13,190,511 of revenue and expenditures of $25,179,142. This is almost all related to CIP, so our CIP for 2026 was not approved when we put the budget together. We do have 3 CIP items that are in progress. Metro Parks had a few certainly had one for the pickleball, Airport Road, intersection improvements, and traffic signal improvements. But other than that, the majority of these are related to 2026 approved CIP projects, and then some of those do have revenue attached to them. So either donations from the Memory Garden or grants that are affiliated, particularly with a lot of our street projects. So we'll receive some grant revenue that offsets some of those expenses. And then the airport does an annual budget, so the entire airport budget is an amendment for 2026 because they just passed their budget fairly recently, so that amends the city budget for the amount of the airport. Any questions on any of those?
With that, any questions of Jeff? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for this ordinance.
Move to adopt ordinance number 25-27.
Second.
That, Sean, if you could read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 25-27, an ordinance amending ordinance number 24-14, adopted November 14, 2024, and entitled, an ordinance adopting a biennial budget for the city of Pullman for the biennium of 2025 to 2026.
With that, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Jeff. And next up, Kurt Damon with Resolution 54-25.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. So here tonight with some more good news for Veterans Park. Before you is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program grant from the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office for development of Pullman Veterans Park. A little background history on this grant. At council meeting on May 21st, 2024, council approved a $500,000 grant application to the Recreation Conservation Office for funding assistance to construct Veterans Park there on the west end of the cemetery on a vacant 2.8 acres that the city purchased several years ago. The initial grant application was due on May 1st, 2024, and after a technical review process where staff received feedback and some suggestions for changes, we resubmitted the grant on July 18th, 2024. After the initial score process last fall, this project didn't really score that great. It was 47 out of 65. Didn't hear much from the RCO office until late this summer when they made a call to ask where we were at with the project. Was it still going forward? And kind of most importantly, had it started yet? And us kind of being a little maybe delayed helped us out in that process. About a month later, we were notified that we were eligible for this grant. Some of the components that funds can be used for are site preparation, parking, restrooms, lighting, furnishings, and utilities. You might think those aren't really exciting or what the park is about, but we got some misinformation early on in this process that this grant fund couldn't be used to memorialize people, so we had to change the focus of our grant, and I would like to kind of thank Valerie Weaver, our grant manager, because we got this information about the 11th hour before we had to submit this grant, that we had to change our whole kind of grant application and look at all those things outside of the main focus of this park. But thankfully, we did receive that call back in September that we were eligible for acceptance of this grant. So that is before you this evening, and grant funds do have to be used by the end of '27. We're hoping that maybe late summer, early fall in '26, we can start this project with completion in 2027. Any questions?
With that, any questions? Okay, if not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Brian?
Second.
Yeah, you have to be quick. Sean, if you could read the resolution, please.
Absolutely. Resolution number R-54-25, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a Washington Wildlife and Recreation Program grant from the Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office for development of Pullman Veterans Memorial Park.
Without any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, and we'll keep working on that. Next up, we have Darren Jones, our Fire Marshal, for Resolution R-5625.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This resolution is to update our fee schedule for permitting for construction permits and operational permits. The current fee schedule was updated last on June 25th, 2024. The schedule was initially set to be on a 3-year rotation, which would match the code cycle. We have since changed that and made that to be an annual review because that's a better indicator for our economic state, as well as we can make any code changes that might be emergent. The fee schedule covers both the construction and operational permits. We currently have 25 different construction permits and 52 different types of operational permits that we can issue. We took into account the consumer price index at an annual average increase of about 2.8% in the past year, and that was August. The December numbers aren't going to be released until the 18th, so we're just a couple days shy of having the most current numbers. So it was 2.8%. We chose to go with 2.5% increase as we had recently looked at those back in 2024. In addition, the proposed fee schedule also includes reduced permitting fees, and those are for our mobile food trucks. And what that means is that if a food vendor comes from out of the area, say Spokane, Seattle, and they already have a current sticker on their truck, we are going to charge them a reduced price because they've already gone through the big permitting process. They still have to pay a reduced fee of $51.25. The full fee for permitting would be $179.38. So we want to encourage these businesses to come for our festivals and other events in the community. So this is our way of trying to help encourage and bring business into Pullman. The fire department believes the new fee schedule more accurately reflects the actual costs of the projects, the reviews, approvals, and inspections. Chief Scharnhorst has reviewed, he's approved this fee schedule, and staff recommends that council adopts this resolution. Do you have any questions?
With that, any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for this resolution.
Move to approve.
Second. That's Sean, if you could read the resolution, please.
Resolution number R-56-25, a resolution adopting a fee schedule for fire permits in accordance with Pullman City Code, Chapter 3.16, International Fire Code, rescinding Resolution R-40-24, and other matters properly related thereto.
With that, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up, R.J. Lott, our Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Welcome, Councilman McDonald. This item on your agenda, or this agenda item for your consideration this evening, is to update fee schedules under Title 13, 16, and 17. Resolution R-7-23 last updated these fee schedules back on February 28th, 2023, so almost 3 years ago. Attached to this agenda item is a copy for your review. The proposed fee schedule takes into account a general consumer price index and other inflationary consumer tools to estimate an annual average increase somewhere between 3 and 3.5%. From the date of effectiveness of the last fee schedule in 2023 with the proposed date of the new fee schedule of 2026, this equates to an increase of fees to about 10% with a minimum increase of $10. So you can see attached in the memo a direct comparison between the current fees and the proposed fees. The fee for short-term rentals is proposed to remain the same at $200. The proposed new fees are still lower than other comparable cities. The new fees keep Pullman at a competitive advantage to other cities in the region, such as Wenatchee, Moses Lake, Yakima, and Walla Walla, while simultaneously not inserting new barriers to developers. However, the proposed new fees do not cover the internal expenses for performing the associated tasks. The proposed new fees are to be effective February 1st, 2026. Can I answer any questions of the council?
With that, any questions? Councilmember Guido?
RJ, I'm just wondering on Title 13 short plat, it says 500 originally and then 50. Was that a typo?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It should be 550.
550.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other? Councilmember Fajarin?
Thank you, RJ. I just wanted to clarify what I thought I heard you said at the end, is that even with the increase, the fee schedule still doesn't fully recover the amount for staff time. Thank
Correct.
You. Thank you.
With that, any other questions? I'd entertain a motion.
Move to adopt Resolution R 5725.
And before I get a second, do we need to, with the correction of from $50 to $55 in the?
Yeah.
You would need to make a motion to adopt the resolution with that amendment in the attachment.
So move. Can I do that?
Is there a second?
Second.
With that, Sean, if you could read.
Resolution number R-57-25, a resolution adopting a fee schedule for community development applications and review effective February 1st, 2026, with an amendment in the attachment to the fee for short plat is incorrectly marked as $50. It should be $550.
Great. With that, any discussion? Okay, with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And RJ, you're up for the next one.
Thank you again, Mayor. City Council, on November 18th of 2025, at that meeting, Mayor Benjamin was given the authorization to sign a contract with Spin for electric scooters and bicycles throughout the city of Pullman, and that contract would end December 31st, 2026. As I forwarded the copy of that contract to Spin, they informed me that their parent company has changed. It is now Phoenix USH LLC. The previous parent company was Skinny Labs LLC. The contract for 2026 has not been fully executed, meaning has not been signed by Spin representatives. So we brought it back for this evening. No other terms or conditions of the contract have changed, just the parent company for Spin, as it was originally presented back on November 18th, 2025. Are there any questions?
So any questions of RJ? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion authorizing a contract with Spin for electric scooters throughout the city of Pullman ending December 31st, 2026, with a new parent company for Spin, Phoenix USH LLC.
Second.
Good job. With that, any discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Great. Thank you very much. Next items up, discussion items. The first one is related. There was a request from the council for staff to bring forward with the a review of the vacant downtown commercial spaces. And with that, RJ Lott.
Thank you again, Mayor. Back on June 25th, 2024, I did a presentation to the City Council on vacant downtown spaces. Some of you may recall that conversation. I've included a timestamp and video in your packet if you wanted to take a closer look and review that. During the September 23rd, 2025 Pullman City Council meeting, Councilmember Fajarin discussed vacant commercial spaces downtown. Thank you, Councilmember Fajarin. In that meeting, 3 council members identified themselves as wanting to form a work group to further explore those things. So on November 5th, city staff spoke with staff from the City of Liberty Lake, and they've got a successful vacant downtown spaces ordinance that they've been working through for a considerable amount of time. I've included a link to their Medical Lake code so you can take a closer look at that. Back on December 5th, 2025, I met with council members Fajarin and Weller, as well as council member-elect Shumlas regarding vacant downtown spaces. And we've discussed some of the comparisons between that draft code I brought forward back on June 25th, 2024, compared with the current Medical Lake code. I'll leave it at that and would be more than happy to answer any questions.
So with that, sorry, my mic was off. This is really being brought back to council. The conversations we had, and in addition to RJ, Sean and I both had conversations with all the mayor of Medical Lake related it to. So with that, this is a discussion item, so any questions of RJ? Councilman Fajarin's ready to go?
Well, not really a question, but just more information for the council for the discussion. First off, thank you, RJ, for having that draft ready, and also, that was 2024, my goodness, that seems like ages ago. Helping steer council through that discussion initially, the first time around. I think there was some gaps during the first time that we needed to fill in, and we decided to table it. At that meeting on December 5th, myself with Tawny and Nathan, we filled in those gaps with the help with RJ. Funny enough how that draft looked really similar to the Medical Lake one. I think ours came first, so props for you, RJ, thank you. And I think, I don't want to speak on those 3 people, but Nathan, our goal is to propose that that draft ordinance be brought back to council for consideration. So that's a little bit about the background.
So we're in discussions, continuing on. Councilmember Wright?
I just have a quick question, and that is, because this has come up in past, several years ago, discussions of this same subject, that enforcement in other communities that have had these codes has not always been successful or even existing. And so I'm wondering if you found out anything differently from Medical Lake or the other comparable places that you looked at.
Yes, I think Medical Lake's going to be our best comparable code, best comparable city. We did reach out to them and we spoke with them. They've had quite and large good success. They did have one individual property owner that they had a little bit of trouble with, but they ultimately did get them to register and follow their code. One thing to keep in mind is that Medical Lake is much smaller than Pullman, especially their downtown area is much smaller, so it was less of a diverse group of individuals they need to reach out to. But nonetheless, they've been successful. They recommended that to me, that we take a closer look at what they do, because by and large, getting those buildings filled or active again has been successful for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So with Councilmember McDonald?
So this is just, again, me being new. So would the next step be to come back to council, depending on how the vote goes, and just have a vote? Or is there an opportunity for like a public hearing or something like that sometime between now and then?
So this is before the council right now is discussion. So as a council, you would be able to kind of direct staff on what you would like and related to this ordinance. If this is something that you would like to see brought back and then for us, and that's something that then we could have public comments related to it, or I mean, this is really your discussion right now. Councilmember Fajarin?
While crafting this, one of the core ideas or one of the values that we wanted to maintain is making sure that all the stakeholders were involved in here and that we really want to have this working side by side with those building owners in order to fill those empty buildings. And so I certainly don't want this to immediately appear on a future agenda item. I would be open to another kind of workshop or a public hearing where we can get other community members, possibly business owners, the chamber, on record. So that would be something I'm willing to support.
Councilmember Weller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think it's kind of challenging. And I understand, I mean, this has been on the city's goals or thoughts for a very, very long time. And there's been challenges with the thought of being sued. And I know we had previously thought this is something that the Downtown Association should be reaching out to those owners. I know the city has reached out with some of those families who own some of the vacant buildings. I think this is a multifaceted issue. Right now, it's very difficult to do business, and trying to force something to happen in vacant buildings, I think it's going to be very challenging no matter what we do. And it's great that there is an example such as Medical Lake. I will say that I know that this will open us up, and this is why we were trying to go for communication, collaboration with those location owners, as well as collaboration with the Downtown Association. So while I do know that the citizens, the community wants us to do something about it, I also understand there is an environment right now where it's very difficult to go into any of those downtown business locations. Rent is extremely high. It has been high for a very, very long time. Any entrepreneur trying to get into a location, it's going to be very tough. And I've talked to several entrepreneurs. They aren't really interested in going to the downtown. Doesn't mean all aren't. I'm just saying this is a challenging situation. It's not just, hey, look, it's vacant, let's throw a business in there. There's a lot of different things at play. So I'm going to say that, and that's it.
Okay, Councilmember Parks?
Thank you. For me, this issue is about holding building owners, property owners accountable. They are part of a downtown. And to not fill that space and just leave it empty is, I would say, almost more detrimental to attracting new business, because maybe somebody doesn't like the appearance of certain buildings or something like that. As far as rents being too high, I mean, I guess to me, it's if the building owners really want to get somebody in there, then they'll make adjustments. For example, if you have a large building or a space, divide it into quarters or stalls or something. Try to think creatively to use the building. The Bank of Pullman building, the old Banner Bank building's a perfect example. There's a winter market in there now every Saturday. So, and it's a collection of people selling their items. So I understand the point about, taking the stick approach to this, but our community is asking for it, our downtown merchants are asking for it, and I do believe it's time that, you know, just like other things we've talked about tonight, that the people are being made accountable for the way they present their property in our downtown.
So I'm hearing that there is interest for this to come back. I'm hearing that there's interest for making sure as a part of the process, it just doesn't, what I'm hearing in general from the council is it just doesn't directly come back to council, but with an ordinance, but that there is an opportunity for us to engage with stakeholders, the DPA, the chambers, and other businesses as a part of that process. That's what I'm hearing right now in general. Is there other items that from the council as a part of this discussion? Councilmember Fajarin, and then I know.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that accurately describes at least my vision for this. And I agree with Councilmember Wella about how complicated this is with so many moving pieces. One of the additional complications is that some of the downtown business simply can't have tenants. It's just physically not able to. And it's going to cost the landlord $100,000+ in order to get it to where it needs to go in order to get a tenant. So that is something that we need to consider on how we're going to be working with that landlord. And frankly, this, we say vacant buildings, but there's probably a top 3 in all of our heads that, come to the top of the pile when we talk about this. And this is something that for years, like this is the last resort. And for years, we have talked about this, and we've tried to work with the landlords, and this is something that our constituents, downtown business owners, have asked us time and time again to enact.
Councilmember McDonald, you're good, okay. So and now I look to staff. Do you have enough direction from council?
I believe we do. And just one other thing that I wanted to mention, when RJ and I were on the phone with the city administrator, city manager, I don't remember his exact title, for Medical Lake, they mentioned that it was really more of a vacant buildings maintenance standard. It wasn't necessarily trying to put the stick in front of everything, but it was mostly trying to get the businesses to comply with not having broken windows, covering up the damage, getting, at least a fresh coat of paint on it so that it didn't deter from their downtown. The other thing that it did was that it spurred some of the owners to sell. And it said, you know what, I've got this building, I don't know why I'm attached to it, but you're making me register now, and I have to pay this registration fee as well, and that was an escalating fee in their model. Maybe it's just time I get out of this building and get rid of it. And so that spurred some of those properties to actually sell, and new owners came in with new redevelopment plans. So it was really kind of encouraging in our discussion with them to see how effective it actually was. There were some questions, I believe, regarding enforcement. In their model, it was the registration fee was kind of that. I think it started at $250 for the first year. It escalated to $500, $750, and so on per each year. But if somebody didn't register, they went down their code enforcement path, which coincidentally happened to be $250 for a code enforcement thing. And so it wound up being kind of similar in that model of that. They only had to go down that code enforcement path, I think, one time. Yep. And that was what we had heard was challenged in court was that. It wasn't a challenge of the ordinance itself, it was a challenge of the fee that was attached to it. So it was positive, it was encouraging in my mind, and I think that right now, based on their discussion and what I'm hearing tonight, I think staff has enough guidance to move this forward.
Great, thank you very much. Our next item is another discussion item related to short-term rental. This is something that the council had also asked to be brought back to them. In your package, you have an initial PDF, and we have staff here that are ready to present related to that.
Before I start, I would like to make a motion to postpone this discussion item until 2026.
Second.
So I have a second for discussion. I mean, I would like to hear more of why you feel that. I mean, in that context, since staff has prepared a report to bring to you tonight and are here.
Thank you, and I see the fire extinguishers there, so if council decides to postpone until next year, I'll definitely help take those back. I just want to begin by thanking RJ and all the city staff for the significant work and thorough preparation that they have put into the STR agenda item. I personally, and I know we recognize and respect the time and effort invested in fulfilling this council's decision. My motion tonight is to postpone the discussion until January 2026. I'm doing this not as a, for lack of a better word, slight against staff process, but as a commitment to ensuring that this specific vital topic receives the time and attention it deserves by the council that will be present next year.
So we have a motion. So any other discussion?
Mayor, I need to ask a question. That the motion was to postpone it until 2026. Was there a specific time or meeting that you would like us to bring it back at? The original discussion from the council was for us to bring it back by the end of Q1.
So I'll clarify, postpone STR discussion until January 2026 or next available council meeting.
And then we would need a second to accept that.
So with that, I mean, and obviously, I mean, staff is ready to go. It's not that late time-wise. I know we got delayed with the start. And so, Councilmember Weller?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Look, I was one of the original people who, was not fully, had some questions about this. But we've been dealing with this now for, what, 3 months? Staff has been dealing with this for 3 months. Don't mean to get vulgar. Crap or get off the pot. We need to move forward. The staff needs to move forward. And I was one of the original ones. So I understand the, well, let's wait. We're going to have new council members on the full thing that I believe you're trying to do, but it's time to move forward.
McDonald?
So one of the reasons that I seconded is, I mean, I watched that whole council, and one of the things I think Carla was actually the one that said, it'll be up to the new council to decide. And I thought back then it was pretty clear that that's something that would be a topic for us. It was certainly a big item, like knocking door to door for people. And I feel like those people that have been knocking door to door and spending that time, having them be able to help represent that is important and valuable.
So I will say, if the council does go that way, I am disappointed just with staff being here, with the community members that are here, because we have messaged this item. But it is your decision. With that, Councilmember Guido.
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on that. I also want to register my disappointment that that is your choice. There was a tremendous amount of work that went into this, and yeah, I'm disappointed if that's your decision, but that is your decision.
Councilmember Wright?
My concern is with the process. And I think the process went awry in that we only had one ordinance, one piece of the ordinance go back to the Planning Commission. And my feeling is that the Planning Commission recommended the whole package for submittal to the council, and yet we're only given the opportunity to look at one piece of that package. And I think that the Planning Commission needs to go back and revisit it. I'm not talking about staff. I'm talking about the Planning Commission that reviewed this to start with. And if they have issues and concerns with this and the way it's been presented, I think those need to be addressed. And I agree that we've spent a lot of time on this, but I'd rather spend more time in getting it done than pushing this through again right now. I don't think we're kicking it down down the lane. I think we're just wanting to get it right so that everybody is satisfied with it. And my other concern is that if we continue to work around the commission, that we have an inherent problem in that we are not going to have qualified people step up to do this work. And I am fearful that that may end up being the case. So that's what my philosophical argument about this is. Thank you.
Sean?
Mayor, the city attorney has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dad?
Mayor, I'd like to make a point of order. The motion is to
There is
defer
a
the
motion in a
staff.
second.
Yes, and so that's what the motion is that's in front of the council right now. Likewise, the Councilmember Wright was talking about what should go back to the Planning Commission, and there seems to be a suggestion that the city staff is going around the Planning Commission. The motion that was approved by council specifically says staff review. It does not say send the whole thing back to the Planning Commission. It just says staff review, and I believe staff reviewed that and took what was under the purview of the Planning Commission to the Planning Commission. Thank you.
And I would, just in that context, what was reviewed, and I worked with staff on the review of what were the things were under the purview of the Planning Commission, what were the things that were not, and related to the questions. And the motion was, City Council had received certain complaints from community members, and the council was asking, can you explain why we're doing what we're doing in light of those complaints? The motion wasn't, we want to go change these things. So what staff is bringing you to is why it was set up this way. If council then wants to send those to Planning Commission, that's what council can do. We're trying to, based on the motion, and if you remember out of that discussion, it was very clear, and I communicated that not everything was in the purview of the Planning Commission, and that not everything would go to the Planning Commission. And that was, in the meeting, I specifically stated that. So I'm just making that clear that staff did not go around. We were following what the council motion, what you requested, and what was communicated to council. So, so any other one for first time? If not, Councilmember Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't want to get far afield here. The challenges that I've heard were to the STR, and that's why I think we were focused on that and the staff review of the STRs, not the entire thing that came before. That's what I heard, and I think that's also what the new council members have been campaigning and discussing with people. And I will say, as far as campaigning and so on goes, I understand your point. Absolutely, Councilmember McDonald. I do. We've all run on various topics that were decided before we took office, and there was no special treatment about we will wait for a vote until this person takes, their seat. We've seen a lot of things happen that we're like, okay, fine, that was something I ran on, they voted on it, okay. That doesn't degrade any position, it doesn't change anything. It's, you were elected for your part, the way you, ran, your integrity, and that remains. My feeling is that we focused on STRs, we've been talking about STRs for a long time, and it's gone through staff, it's gone through Planning Commission, And that has been the focus. And I know it's time for us to move forward.
Councilor Fajarin, you had your hand up. If not, Councilmember McDonald.
So I think to me, again, I'm new here, and watching this from the other side and listening to the comments, motion aside, the comments about, hey, let's make sure that the planning commission gets involved in it. I mean, that was part of the discussion. As a public, as just a lay person in the public, I hear that. But I hear multiple people say in the last discussed was the new city council, we'll see where they land on it. If I'm a part of the public, that we all got questions about transparency and being fair with the public. If I'm watching this, after watching that, I mean, I would have those same questions and concerns.
Seeing none, then there is a motion before us to table this until the next available council meeting in 2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Yeah, I was.
I got,
Can we do it?
I got
Call
3
to-
ayes. So if I can have you raise your hand,
Roll
those that
call.
would like to table this. Okay, thank you. And then the 2 that are against. Okay. With that, so this discussion item, staff, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking the effort to put this in. For the public that's here, that was here for this, I also appreciate that you were here for this discussion. With that, we have no other business to come before us, and I would look to our outgoing council members if you would like to move for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I do think it's fair to them.